Good evening and welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here. Hey, not joined by Austin Brubaker, not joined by Coach Holt, but I promise they are coming. We've all been very busy as of late. This is a hobby of ours, and so we've tried to throw these things together when we've had available time, and then also as a post game. And then tonight, the game is at a time to where we didn't obviously want to conflict with that time. Last night, I was out of town, so we couldn't hop on. We couldn't get a show last night. I wanted to get a show on before the weekend because I just didn't want to go from all the way Monday night all the way till Saturday without a show. So what's going to happen is we're not going to have a show tomorrow night, which will be Friday night. As of right now, we might and we might not. Stay tuned for that. But hey, Coach Holt and then myself and Austin, we are all three going to be on the JOB Saturday morning to talk some great Dodgers baseball. So super excited about that. Hey, we have a great crowd logging in. I know this is a difficult time. It's 3:45 on the West Coast. It's 5:45 where I'm at, so we may not have as big of a crowd as we normally have, but as I say, Dodgers Dogs, always the best crowd out there. So if you're in the crowd right now, no telling how big this is going to get. Let's get it fired up. Let's get the questions fired up, and let's get after it. So the first thing that I wanted to get to Bobby BigTime. Yeah, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, good evening. Says, I miss Mookie Betts playing in right field. And Craig Erstenberg, hello to yourself. Gregory, hello to you as well. Chris Faubourg, thank you so much for joining from Kentucky. Fantastic. Trey B, good evening to yourself. Trey, thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. And Joe Rampley says Dodgers are mostly looking good. So let's get to what I wanted to talk about first, and that is Bobby Miller and his pitch sequencing, and we'll get to as much as this we can. I got to cut back and forth. So here's the first pitch to the second hitter. Okay, so what I wanted to show you here is the first hitter. We'll talk about that here in a minute. The first hitter, he had thrown a four-seam, he'd thrown a changeup, he'd gotten him out from that perspective, and then in the second hitter, he pitched backwards. So we're going to kind of jump into this and then work back to the first hitter. So you see the second hitter, he works backwards. So let's get back into this. This is going to be a little bit clunky, but I can only play a few seconds at a time. So here we go. Here's the second pitch. So see, he goes fastball, and then he goes curveball, and then he goes curveball, then he goes fastball, and then he goes fastball up in the zone to jam the hitter there. So that is tremendous sequencing, especially when you consider, if I look to my left here, that's because I am trying to get back to my screen as far as his sequencing. Okay, let's back up. Here is the first hitter of the game. I actually probably should have started with the first hitter. There's a fastball in the inner half to a lefty to back him off the plate. And then what I want you to notice about that pitch there's the first pitch. Watch the second pitch here. This is what's so great about that. See how that first pitch right here, see how this tunnels on the inside? This starts on the inner half. See how that starts in the inner half right there? And then it stays on the inner half, okay? So watch this second pitch here. Watch that. See how that's tunneling right there off that exact same location? But watch where it ends up. Whoop, right there for a changeup where it fades to the arm side. And so he's thrown a fastball. Then he threw the changeup that actually faded to the outer half. So he backed off the lefty on the inside fastball, got him off the plate. Once he got him off the plate, then he faded the changeup, which is very impressive because what I want you to notice is he's adding two different types of shapes to his changeup. And with the 100-plus fastball, the 99-mile-an-hour two-seam, when you're able to sequence like this, like I'm showing you here, and then also you're able to execute, this is just simply unhittable for anybody. So he's backed the lefty off the plate with the fastball. Then after he backed the lefty off the plate, he ran the changeup away off of the exact same tunnel. Then watch this. Boom. Right there. I know the hitter didn't swing at it. I don't know. Well, let me back up. You actually did not see that. Let me back up and throw that. I got to cut that over. So right here, watch this third pitch. So you saw the changeup with the fade to the arm side. Now watch this changeup. Straight tumble. So at this point, Bobby Miller has backed the hitter off the plate with the fastball. He's faded a changeup basically straight vertically, straight east and west, and then he has tumbled a changeup north and south. Now watch how he gets the hit. Well, I got to cut over. Let me get back here and cut over. And now watch how he finishes the hitter off. Bam, curveball right down the middle. And that hitter just simply walks off like, what in the hell just happened to me? That was an incredible sequence. And then he backed that up with, we just showed you just a second ago with this right here. Watch this, how he starts the second hitter. Whoop, curveball, a get me over for a strike. And then after he throws that curveball, then he hits that two-seam down the zone, then the two-seam right down the middle, and then the fastball, the four-seam up and in. So at this point, you've seen the inside fastball for the four-seam. You've seen the changeup tunneled off of that vertically moved to the arm side. You saw the tumbling changeup, and then you saw the curveball that froze the first hitter. Then you saw him pitch backwards with the curveball, then use the two-seam, and then finish that off with a four-seam up and in to jam the hitter. That right there is sequencing that is simply elite. And by the way, give Will Smith credit. In the game, there was another time I mentioned before how in the past with Gavin Stone, when he was pulling a slider, that Will Smith would call the same pitch again to force Gavin Stone to land that slider. He did that with Bobby Miller as well. Of course, Bobby Miller only threw 16 pitches. But with the big arm that Bobby Miller has, when he is able to execute the way he did in that sequence, that is just absolutely game, set, and match for hitters. So I wanted to show you that, and I wanted to get into the sequencing of just how elite, when Bobby Miller is on top of his game, he actually is, because that was absolutely incredible. So, hey, we have a good crowd logging in right now. Craig says Lux is having a hard time throwing the ball to first. Your thoughts? I'm not going to lie. It's in his head. 100% it's in his head. It does have me definitely worried. If you're the Dodgers and you want Gavin Lux to be your shortstop, you're going to have to play him every single game from here on out and get him every single ground ball you can. At this point, I don't think you can start him in a Major League Baseball game. I think Miguel Rojas would be your starting shortstop right now. If you started tomorrow, if you want Gavin Lux to be your starting shortstop, then you have to play him every game, and you have to get him 25 to 30 ground balls moving forward before you actually put him in a game that matters. Because at this point, I'm just telling you, every play to him feels like the seventh game of the World Series. He hasn't played shortstop in 4 years. He didn't play it all last year. So he's pressing, and whenever you press, that's whenever mistakes happen. That's when it gets in your head. And the only way to get it out of your head is to have enough reps. Let me kind of give you an example. You drive home every day, right? And you take the same route. And then sometimes you drive home and you get home and you're like, I don't even remember that drive home. It's just so autopilot to you. You've done it so many times you don't remember any part of the drive. The Dodgers, if they want Gavin Lux to be their shortstop, they have to get him in that mode to where he has so many plays under his belt, he doesn't even remember the 2 or 3 plays that he made before. That's when you truly get comfortable. He is anything but that right now. It is definitely worrisome, especially whenever you add that to Max Muncy at third base. But again, the Dodgers are committed to Gavin Lux. This is the biggest concern that I had, was that if he came out and struggled early and didn't look good, Dodgers fans would really, not Dodgers Dogs fans, the fans here are just simply fantastic. Always very, very level-headed here at Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. But that fans would overreact to it and immediately want the Dodgers to fix it. Now, one good thing about that is Gavin Lux has played good offense, and you always could put Mookie Betts back in right field, put Gavin Lux at second, and play Miguel Rojas at shortstop. So you have solutions to that right now. Not going to lie, though, Gavin Lux, you are 100% correct, Craig. He just simply has not looked good. I'm not throwing shade to Gavin Lux. I think you guys know I love the young man. I love his game. I have total confidence in him. But you got to call it what it is. You Dodgers Dogs are as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, are the best crowd out there. I can't sugarcoat it for you guys. I got to come real with it, and that's where I'm at. So the Gavin Lux deal is a situation that needs to get fixed, and hopefully he is the one that does it. Cobra Commander says trade Austin Barnes. Yeah, he wants a backup catcher that is different than Austin Barnes. Gregory, Bobby Miller is awesome. So glad the Dodgers got him. Yes, Bobby Miller is absolutely awesome. Chris Fabelwerk, Bobby Miller is going to have a great season. Cobra Commander Bobby Miller's a Lion. BC, such a late start time for tonight's game. That's why we're going on at this awkward time of day. We already have just a great crowd. Hey, guys, I say it all the time. And by the way, how about the new garb? It came in yesterday. Want to thank Dupree's and Derek Sinclair, Jeff Watkins, Chad Watkins, and all the guys over there at Dupree's. They're in Stillwater. Hey, for all of the garb, what do you think? The hat? If you want one, let me know. The hoodie, I've got a short sleeve hoodie coming as well. So what do you think about the new garb, the new Dodgers Daily stuff, man? I really like it personally. I designed it, and I think it's cool. But, hey, if you want one of these, let me know, and we can get in contact and make it happen. Roy Estrada, thank you so much for joining. How are the pitchers going to handle Lux and Muncy making errors behind them? That will cause you to lose concentration and try to pitch the ball so it's not hit to shortstop or third base. That could happen. I can't lie, Roy. I think there is a certain element to it to where you're a professional. You're supposed to play at a professional level. But I will say this, Roy, the players understand that the organization is committed to Gavin Lux. The players love Gavin Lux. The players have Gavin Lux back. They know he hasn't played in 4 years at shortstop consistently. They know he didn't play last year. They know how talented he is because, Roy, these guys have seen all the inner squads. They've seen all the ground balls he's taken. They've seen the capabilities that he has. And so they will have his back to a certain extent. They will have his back until the organization decides to do something about it if they have to. So I'm not worried about the players at all because they are so bonded and so tight. They know what Gavin Lux is capable of because they get to see it every single day. So the players themselves is the last concern for me. Again, the biggest concern is fans overreacting and then Gavin Lux pressing because he feels like he's letting everybody down. Because if you know anything about Gavin Lux, he is a real human being. When I say that, what I mean is he cares what people think. He cares what the Dodgers fans think. He doesn't want to let anybody down. And that's part of the problem because I think he's really pressing because he feels like he is letting people down and he doesn't want to do that. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. We'll see how that works out. And like I said, I mean, I can't sugarcoat it. Got to be real with it. Not meaning to throw shade. Don't think I am throwing shade just by being honest. And also saying, hey, on the other end, there's nobody that has more confidence than I do. And I will have his back until the Dodgers decide to do something about it. Hey, Gregory, thank you so much for joining. Totally agree with you. Smash that like button if you haven't already and share this stream. Tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily. Get them over here into this chat. I am by myself. I do apologize that Austin and I haven't been on together a lot lately. Coach hasn't been on as much. They just started their season. I promise you this isn't going to be forever. This is just kind of a temporary deal to where, hey, his schedule didn't match up. And then like last night, we were going to go on together and I had to go to Stillwater and take care of some things. So we couldn't go on. And then he couldn't come on tonight. Coach Holt had a game today. So we do have it scheduled again. We're all going to be on Saturdays. We have our schedule ironed out. Mondays there's going to be Austin. Wednesdays is going to be Austin and I. And then Saturday mornings, I think we're going to move our Friday night shows when the season starts to Saturday mornings. It's going to be Coach Holt, myself, and Austin. And then Sunday nights will be Coach Holt and I. That is going to be the schedule. I promise. Again, it's been hectic as of late. I know it's not as good when it's only one guy on. It's better when we have a crowd of people that can have different opinions. So we're going to get there, and we're going to get back to that, I should say, and I promise you that we will do that. So thank you, Gregory, for mentioning that people need to smash that like button. Also, if you're not a subscriber, make sure and hit the subscribe button. And then also, if you haven't done so, click that notification bell and leave a comment, not just in the chat. Go to the comment section and leave a comment. Yes, BC, Gavin Lux is hitting 348 in spring. That his offense is good. So that kind of adds to the quandary of it because you can't just take him out of the lineup all in all. because he is such a good offensive player. At this point, it's looking like, if it continues like this, you have to do something about it. He would probably end up back at second, but it's in his head right now. Hey, Justin Lamas, Doc is non-committal to Lux, and he's usually in dad mode to protecting his under-fire guys. A.K. Kinley is my guy. Yeah, it's interesting whenever you hear managers talk. Sometimes they're trying to light a fire. Sometimes they're trying to piss a guy off. Sometimes there's a lot of times an underlying reason as to why a manager will. They're always good. That's one thing I do like about Dave Roberts, though, I'll say. He's less calculated than a lot of other managers, and to the point to where sometimes it frustrates the Dodgers, like whenever he came out and kind of let the cat out of the bag about Mookie Betts being the everyday second baseman. And I know for a fact the Dodgers, people are like, what? Why would you do that? Now we're going to lose all leverage with Michael Busch. So he does come out and speak more freely, I think, than a lot of other managers does. He doesn't give you the company line as much, but I will say that definitely managers, hey, they can call you in the office and say, I love you, you need this, whatever, but sometimes they do give cryptic messages through the media to piss a guy out. I know, I can't remember who the manager was, but with Derek Lowe, I know he used to get nervous before games, and the manager, I think it was Francona, said that he made Derek Lowe so mad at him that Derek Lowe was pitching and he'd forgotten about the environment around him. He was just trying to prove the manager wrong that day. So who knows what that is, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I promise you, though, let me promise you this, the Dodgers are all in. They will fix this shortstop position. They will get it fixed. Lux and Muncy, a real box of chocolates, no doubt a one-eyed dragon. It is a concern. I can't say it's not, but it's a concern. Again, if you want Gavin Lux to be your everyday shortstop, he can't be playing every other day. You got to put him out there, and you got to get him 40 to 50 plays before the regular season starts. Roy Estrada Casey, besides the arm, Lux has had horrible footwork. Lux is saying to himself, please don't hit the ball to me. I've been there. If you've ever played baseball, you've stood out there going, God, hit it to any other seven guys other than me. We've all been there, yeah. Hey, and I played shortstop, and when you're on your game, you want the ball hit to you. That is correct. But there are times to when you struggle. There are times to where you have less confidence. Peter Jacob, good evening, Peter. Thank you so much for joining. Lux is on a shorter leash. Mr. Classic, welp, it's tough. Hey, Mr. Classic, meanwhile, the young prospects are waiting to take Lux's place. Well, let's look at some of who those guys would be. And by the way, going to start a new series tomorrow called High Velocity. And the idea behind this, of course, we started our launch angle. Our launch angle series is prospects that are a little bit less known and maybe under the radar touch that you need to know about. Like last week was Kevin Gowdy. Kevin Gowdy's a guy you probably haven't heard of, but he's definitely on an uptick, and he's a guy you need to know about, a guy like Ricky Vanasco. Well, the new series, High Velocity, that we're going to start tomorrow is going to be over prospects that you have heard of. So the first High Velocity is Trey Sweeney. I can't wait to bring that series out tomorrow. It's going to be just like the other ones as far as timing. 8 minutes or so. It's always hit or miss. The topic, I know our hot take was on Dave Roberts. That's always a hot button topic. But tomorrow, our High Velocity series begins, and I will release that video on Trey Sweeney. Super excited about it. So when you say, meanwhile, the young prospects are waiting to take Gavin Lux's place, yeah, this would be one of them here, Trey Sweeney. I don't think he would be the first option for the Dodgers. Hey, Tommy Price, thank you so much for joining. Tommy says, hit that like button, please. I totally agree. Definitely hit that like button. We're watching Trey Sweeney hit the baseball. Let's move over now to some Trey Sweeney defense. Actually, let's watch this diving catch in spring training. There's Tyler Glass now, who played on the B game yesterday on the backfields, gave up 4 hits. Here is Trey Sweeney's defense. So let's take a look at him. Peter Jacobs says Gavin Lux's arm is just too weak. Right now, it definitely looks that way because he does not have a whole lot of confidence in it. Hey, Carlos Garcia, can't thank you enough for watching from your lunch break. This is Trey Sweeney. And by the way, if you want to see footage of anybody in the organization, if you want anybody in the organization broke down, just let me know. Hey, Jay says Lux still has 2 options. Would the Dodgers consider sending him to AAA to get reps at shortstop? Not if he keeps playing offense the way he is. He's played tremendous offense, and the Dodgers will want that in their lineup. I think they would move him to second base before. I think they would just can the shortstop thing all in all, move him to second base, and be done with it before they would actually send him to AAA because the offense he's playing. I mean, man, you're losing a really, really nice offensive player that's a left-handed stroke that can steal bases. And also, Jay, here's my concern with that. If you send Gavin Lux down to AAA, how long is that going to take to get him comfortable? And then it's also AAA. His problem, yes, it is reps. I wouldn't disagree with you, Jay. But the problem he's having is that he's nervous. He's not comfortable. It's in his head. And you can't climb those mountains and get over those hurdles when it's in your head like it is with Gavin Lux. Again, I hope you don't think I'm throwing shade with this young man. I love Gavin Lux. Matter of fact, I communicate with him on somewhat of a regular basis. I've written an article about him that he actually provided a quote with. I've gotten to talk to him during rain delays in Oklahoma City. I've gotten to talk to him while I was dragging the field, while he was taking ground balls in Oklahoma City. I love this young man. I really hope you don't think I'm being too negative or trying to throw shade on this guy. But it's in his head, and you can't get over that in AAA. The stage fright part of what he's going through right now, getting back in the swing of things. The only way you can do that is in the major leagues in front of 50,000 people and with major league pressure on you. So we are not going to know what we have with Gavin Lux until we see how he handles major league pressure at the shortstop position. So from that aspect of things, I don't see where sending him down to AAA actually would do a whole lot of good with him. Hey, Abstract says Mookie is not moving back to right field, and he shouldn't be asked to. I wouldn't disagree with that at all. The interesting thing would be, I think the Dodgers would be more likely to, if they sent Gavin Lux down to AAA, to actually try to incorporate him into a different position all in all. But that's all hearsay, all speculation. I still say the best thing that could possibly happen for the Dodgers organization is that he figures it out and he becomes a shortstop that he is capable of. Hey, Craig Osterberg says Dodgers are getting hit every game. Muncy 3 times. Is this on purpose by any opposing team? You're dealing with a whole bunch of different guys with a whole bunch of different catchers that are throwing a whole bunch of different sequences. And I personally, and I know a lot of professional baseball players. I personally did not play professional baseball, but I have several really good friends that all did play professional baseball and a handful of major leaguers. I can tell you I have never heard in my life of a pitcher intentionally throwing at another team in spring training. I'm not saying it's not happening, but if you're asking me my opinion, it'd be absolutely not. No way, shape, or form would another team be throwing at the Dodgers. But, I mean, like I said, that's just my opinion, and I have no inside information about that. Peter Jacobs says that, we mentioned, thinks Gavin Lux's arm is a little bit too weak. Hey, Tommy Price, Pedro Guerrero, please, dear God, don't let him hit it to me, and don't let him hit it to Saxy. Yeah, that's Steve Sax syndrome. We have a ban on the word that a lot of people use. Interesting story. I've dealt with this before, and we had a young man that was a real strike thrower, and he showed up one day, and all of a sudden he bounced one halfway to home plate. Then all of a sudden he threw one to the backstop. Then all of a sudden, now this was on the mound, and we kind of looked at each other the first day, and then by about 3 days later, it was like, dude, we got a problem here. What's going on? So we went and consulted with the local college coaches. I can't give you names of all the people we consulted with. We consulted with multiple scouts. We consulted with professional coaches. And I can tell you to a man, we said, hey, mentally, from a drill perspective, from a physical perspective, what can we do with this young man? Not one of them said there was anything you can do. All of them basically said, you are screwed. Don't mention that word ever again in your program. Matter of fact, through my 30 years of coaching, it's happened twice. And we tried everything we could to get that word out of his mind. I will not say that word because once it gets in your brain, it's like a screen that has burn into it. That burn in never leaves. That word that gets burned into your brain and it never leaves. So I won't lose that word. I won't use that word. But boy, I sure hope it doesn't happen, because I'm telling you, if it does happen, he ain't coming back. You don't come back. I'm sure are people who have, but man, at a major league level with major league pressure, I don't see it, man. Hey, Craig Osterberg, also Barnes' defense isn't very good. His arm is weak. Guys, I have warned you, and before they went and got T.O. and guys like that, is this really you spend all this money, you can go back to our past shows. Is this really the defense that you want to throw out there? If it is, I've also said, okay, and Dodgers dogs, you are the best. Absolutely the best, hands down. I say it all the time. Not the biggest crowd, but hey, through this up, it's 4:11 in the afternoon, and look at this great crowd we have on Dodgers dogs. But this is the lineup the Dodgers are going to throw out there. We're going to cuss and scuss. We're going to spit about it. We're going to be pissed about it. We're going to worry about it. We're going to talk about it because it needs to be, and that's what we do here. But the Dodgers are committed to this guy, and we're just going to have to be patient. Now, there could be a situation to where it is just so obviously bad, like it has been to this point, where the Dodgers pull the plug on it way earlier than they had anticipated. That could come. But I'm going to circle back around to what I've said and been very consistent with my message. I promise you, the Dodgers will fix this. They will put the club ahead of any one player as much as they love that one player, and they will fix this. Who you have to have the trust in. I'm not going to be able to convince any of y'all to trust Gavin Lux. You've seen what you've seen, nor should I. There's nothing I should say right now to try to convince you to have confidence in him right now. Who you should have confidence in is a front office that is known to fix these things. They fixed the bullpen last year. They will fix this problem. That's who you need to trust. Hey, Jay, Daniel Hudson, if you have watched Dodgers Dogs, let's get to some Daniel Hudson video right here. Because if you have watched Dodgers Dogs at all this offseason, you would have already known. I know Fabian Ardaya put out a nice tweet the other day. You would already have known that Daniel Hudson was going to make the roster. Daniel Hudson is a guy that this club wants in their bullpen. Now, here is the interesting situation, Jay. This is a great comment to make. So Daniel Hudson is not on the 40-man roster. The Dodgers have two choices, because if they put Nick Frasso on the 40-man, okay, that would be Daniel Hudson. But at that point, so they do have the ability to put him on without DFAing anybody. I've said this too, though. I think they're going to want Justin Wilson on that roster as well. And if they want Daniel Hudson and Justin Wilson, they're going to have two choices for the Justin Wilson deal. Put Walker Buehler on the 60-day IL, which I don't think they're going to want to do, because I think they're going to want Walker Buehler to come back earlier than that, or DFA somebody and then probably trade him. So that's going to be interesting, because I do think Daniel Hudson's going to break with the 26. I have said that all winter long. You would know that if you paid attention to Dodgers Dogs, which you guys are the absolute best, and you have. And so you would know already. I told you, my little birdie had been flying around telling me that Daniel Hudson was high on the Dodgers list and that he was going to make this club. So, yeah, where I'm very interested is, where's that last spot going to come from? Who's going to get it? Is it going to be Gavin Stone or Kyle Hurt? I think that last 26th roster spot, that 13th spot on the roster as far as pitching goes, I think that's going to come down to Gavin Stone or Kyle Hurt. So let's take a look a little bit at Kyle Hurt's scoreless innings the other day. Some sequencing from him. There is a good fastball, that four seam. Now see, when you're Kyle Hurt, okay, let me cut back, and I have to. Let me back up just a second. When you're Kyle Hurt, you can do this right here. Watch this pitch. Let me back it over here. Watch this pitch right here. This is just center cut, four seam. Boom. Right down the middle. That tells you right there, fans. Kyle Hurt is facing a lefty, which is an opposite matchup for him, righty-lefty matchup. And he's just throwing a four seam right down the center cut, okay? That tells you right there that Kyle Hurt's reaching back going, you ain't hitting this. And by the way, he's throwing a center cut fastball, and watch this hitter, okay? The hitter is absolutely I didn't cut it over. Let me back that up right here. Okay, watch this four seam. The hitter is late. See that? And he's a lefty. That tells you right there, that's all you need to know, how good Kyle Hurt's fastball is. That's how hard it is to hit. He is approaching 100 with it. And when he can get ahead in the count with that four seam without getting ambushed, now he can get to this pitch right here. Watch this. This is amazing. Whoop! See that change up that dives down into the dirt, and that hitter is like, oh my gosh. Then he starts, okay, so like Bobby Miller, let me back that up and let him cut it back over to here and talk about that for a little bit. So you throw a center cut fastball. Now you want to know why he center cuts that fastball. Let me back that up and start it right here and then get that stopped halfway to home plate. Let me back that up just a touch and get it right there. Okay, see how that's center cut? Now I want you to remember that. Let's get to this second pitch and watch this changeup. This is called tunneling right there. See how, well, if I back that up just a touch, you would have seen, let's see if I can get it right here. See how that's, well, you missed it, but it actually was right there before it went forward. So he threw that changeup out of that same tunnel, and watch it tumble out of the zone. That is elite right there. It's elite velo. And whenever you can center cut, then all you have to do is tumble your changeup, and then you're going to be able to absolutely dominate hitters. And then after that sequence where he went four seam and changeup, now watch what he does to this second hitter. Pitches backwards. See that? Just like Bobby Miller did to that second hitter. Same sequence. And then watch this pitch here. Okay, I'm going to cut this back. So he's pitching backwards. He got the straight tumble to his changeup, which is downward movement. Now watch what movement he gets second pitch to this hitter. I'm going to back this up just a little bit and cut it over. I can't play it in a row because I'm afraid I'll get copyrighted, so I got to cut back and forth. So if this is a little bit clunky, I do apologize for that, but it's the best I can do. So let me cut this over. So you remember that curveball, watch that. See that? Let me back that up. Watch how this pitch starts center cut and then comes back in on the right-hander. That actually has a little bit of fade to it. Then he pulls the slider. This is what I'm talking about. See how he pulls the slider here? Great job, Will Smith. Let's see what he throws next time. Yeah, that one got away with him with a changeup, and then he goes back to that same changeup. So this is what I like about Will Smith. That one got away from him. Guess what Will Smith's going to do? Force him to throw that changeup again. Now he's getting that arm side fade to his changeup, just like he had a little bit of arm side run to his four seam. What is that doing to a right-hander? That's backing him off the plate. All Kyle Hurt has to do right now is just land his little bullet slider to the outer half. Just make it a decent pitch. Make sure it is a strike, and that guy's out. That's a good changeup there. He could have went any which way he wanted to, and he should have went with a slider on the outer half, but right there he went with the changeup. See, the fastball got away from him there, and then there is a good fastball to the bottom. That was not a strike. So what did Will Smith do? Did that again. Let me cut that back. So Kyle Hurt, he missed on that four seam to the bottom of the zone. So what did Will Smith call again? He calls that fastball. Well, let me back that up 1 second. He calls that fastball to the bottom of the zone again, right here. Watch the two fastballs. This one right here, they gets away from him. So what does Will Smith do? He calls the same pitch again. Boom. And Kyle Hurt lands it. So I love the fact that one of the parts of spring training is just getting better at your sequencing. Another is getting the feel of your pitches. This has happened many different times where Will Smith has had a pitcher for the Dodgers, one of these young guys that's working on a particular sequence or location, and they haven't hit it. And basically he's put down the same number and said, damn it, you're going to throw this pitch and you're going to throw it right and you're going to make it a strike. So I love the fact that Will Smith is forcing these guys to execute in their sequencing. So Gavin Stone gets that fastball over, Kyle Hurt gets that fastball over for a strike 2 times in a row. That's great job, Will Smith. Then there's that little bullet slider that he comes in on a lefty with, and then 3 times in a row he lands that fastball. So after the fastball got away from him, Will Smith kept calling it, and then Kyle Hurt started executing. You can give just as much credit to Will Smith for that sequence as you did Kyle Hurt. Again, he leaked a little bit, but because he is so talented and because he has such a high upside, he's able to overcome that. Man, if he can just land 2 out of 3, you just saw it right there. In his sequences, if he can just land 2 out of 3 of whatever the sequence is, whether it be the 4-seam to the bottom, the changeup with fade, the 4-seam that has a little arm side run, if he can just, he has a little bit more margin for error, as we saw, then he is really, really good, as we saw. Yeah, One-Eyed Dragon says, and don't hit it to sacks. His bat does not make it, says Peter Jacob. Hey, One-Eyed Dragon says, you're just being real, Casey. Thank you so much for that comment. Hey, Mr. Classic Trevor Bauer is now with a team called Asian Breeze and will play the Dodgers minor leaguers this weekend. I did see that. That is going to be interesting, and don't you know, he will be super motivated. Look at this crowd that we have. Dodgers dogs. You are the best. Absolutely, period, end of discussion. You are the absolute best crowd out there. I can't tell you how much I thank you for the great work that you are doing helping me with this channel. Again, we went on at 4:40, whatever time it was, on the West Coast, and look at this crowd. This is just simply awesome. Okay, hey, let's get into some more comments. Matty Man 5 Dodge, we've missed you lately. I haven't seen you around. I always love it when I see that name. Thank you so much for tuning in and leaving a comment and joining our chat. Mookie shouldn't be playing second either. Mr. Clatt, yeah, well, that was the Trevor Bauer conversation. Roy Estrada, Casey, I'm a Lux fan, but like you, I have to give an honest critique. Lux figuring it out is only going to help our team. I am pulling for Lux. Roy, this is, again, standing ovation, guys. Standing ovation for Roy Estrada. How about that comment? That's the kind of comments that I get to read over and over and over at Dodgers Dogs. I get to read elite comments like that over and over and over. You know how much fun that is for a guy like me that's been in the game my whole life, that likes to see the positive sides of things? Because, and here's a big reason why, I know how negative this game is. I know how much failure there is. And it's like John Rooney told me, if you think negatively, you just don't make it. Roy Estrada, let me give you a standing ovation. We have to be real. Totally agree with you. That is 100% a great comment. Abstract, moving Mookie Betts to appease Lux, of all people, can't see it. I don't disagree with you there. Just kind of throwing out scenarios. One of the scenarios with Jay was send him down to AAA to get the shortstop thing figured out. I don't see that either, because I just don't think the AAA aspect of it puts enough pressure on him to actually matter. One-Eyed Dragon says, in Lux we trust. Hey, Craig Osterberg says, Pages should have made the club really hitting well. I will say this is another one that if you have followed Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, there just never was going to be room for Andy Pages. This was not a competition for him to make the club this year. What Andy Pages, and I've said this the entire time, what Andy Pages is doing is setting himself up to be the shortstop of the future. So here's why. Okay, let me go over these numbers if I can get to them here in just a second. Okay. The Dodgers are going to carry 8 relievers, 5 starters, and then they're going to manipulate the IL to use the up-down train, then combine that to schedule kind of a quasi 6-man rotation. We've been saying that over and over and over. Okay, so who's going to make the opening day roster? Let's get to that. As a matter of fact, I have that article out on dodgersdaily.net. If you have not seen that, go over to my website, dodgersdaily.net. Matter of fact, I'm going to put the link to that right here in the chat as I'm going to it. That way you can check out who I think is going to make the opening day roster. So this is why Andy Pages was never going to make the roster. 13 position players. Here they are. Shohei Ohtani, Austin Barnes, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Kike Hernandez, Gavin Lux, Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas, Chris Taylor, Mookie Betts, Tio Hernandez, Jason Hayward, and James Outman. So the only guys on that list that actually have minor league options that you actually can send down to the minor leagues would be James Outman. Okay, James Outman is the only one on that list that Gavin Lux actually you could too, I guess, as well. But James Outman had a 4.4 WAR. James Outman, as of the time that I wrote this, actually Will Smith has an option too, but you're not going to send Will Smith down. Gavin Lux has an option. Jay mentioned that a minute ago. But so really the only real candidate would be to swap him for James Outman. But James Outman had a WRC plus of 118 last year. He was a 4.4 WAR guy. And as of the time that I wrote this a couple of days ago, he's hitting 429 so far in spring training, OPS 1485. So, I mean, you'd be kind of cutting your nose off to spite your face. So that's why this was an audition for Andy Pages, more so for later in the season, or probably more likely for 2025. We've been very consistent with that. And it's just a mathematical formula, the equation. Just do the math and count the numbers. That's just kind of where they sit. Hey, yeah, okay. So there you go on the Andy Pages situation, at least from my perspective. Matty Man 5 Dodge, so you spend $1 billion on two-star players and put it all at the risk for a guy who can't catch or throw. He'd be talking about Gavin Lux. Yep, that is a concern, and that's also why Matty Man 5, they are going to fix this. That's why I always keep saying this is a situation they will fix. They're not going to spend all those billions of dollars only to have a guy at the most critical defensive position that can't throw the ball to first base. They believe in the guy. They've seen in the guy. They think he can do it. That's why he's still there. The second the Dodgers are convinced that Gavin Lux is not the future at shortstop in this organization, they will fix it. This will get fixed by the time the Dodgers actually have to win. They're going to win regular season games and make the playoffs with their eyes closed, in my opinion. And we've seen winning your division isn't all that. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing not to, because you get to keep playing. So I think by the time that they actually they will fix this by the time they actually have to. Hey, Gregory, how do you feel about Freddie Freeman and Max Muncy switch defensive places? Do you think Freddie can play third base? I actually saw this at Oklahoma State with the guy that Alec Gamboa played with at Fresno City College and Christian Funk. Christian Funk played first base his first year at Oklahoma State. Then the second year he moved to third base. The problem with that, Gregory, is you're out of time. If you were going to do that, that would have been in the offseason. It would have been during spring training, and you would have approached it, I think, from that timeline. They have not done it at all in spring training games, which tells me they haven't even tinkered with it in the offseason beyond, hitting some ground balls during the afternoon or whatever. So at this point, I think it's too late. I think that experiment, I think you're better off just trying to get Max Muncy better at third base than you are trying to experiment as far as the timeline goes on that. So I can't see that happening. I think that would be a move of severe desperation, because when was the last time Freddie Freeman's played third base? So now you want a shortstop that hadn't played shortstop in 4 years, and then a third baseman that hadn't played it in however many years as Freddie Freeman. So I think the Dodgers have sure things. They have Miguel Rojas. They have Chris Taylor. They have Kike Hernandez. They have guys that can play a professional shortstop. They have guys that can play a professional third base. They have guys they can turn to. And then they also have the trade market if they need in the future. And by the way, if you've watched Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, how many times have I said, this is why you didn't need to go all in to get Class A? Austin has said this. You needed to keep your trade chips in your pocket. So if you needed to go fix the left side of your infield, you still had all your trade chips available. That's why the Dodgers needed to do exactly what they did. Go get Ryan Brazier. Go get a guy like Justin Wilson that might be able to help you, and keep all your trade chips. So if you need to go get a shortstop, in a trade scenario, you still have all your trade chips available. We've been saying that all winter long, and this is the exact reason why. Now you're seeing it right in front of your face. Hey, Norm Lee, bad defense will eventually prompt a pitching staff to stop throwing to contact and will try to make perfect pitches or try to strike out everyone. A recipe for disaster. I don't disagree whatsoever, but I will say that the only saving grace to that, Norm, the only, I guess you could say, the silver lining to that is that the Dodgers never pitched to contact anyways. All the way down to their as soon as they get into the organization at the complex, they're throwing high riding four seams, they're throwing tumbling changeups, and these pitchers for the Dodgers, hey, there's only one pitcher at all in AAA last year that went at least 7 innings. That was Landon Knack, and he only did it one time. No pitcher went past 7 innings. These guys are told to go max out, and they're told to go throw as hard as you can, max all your stuff out, and strike as many guys out as you can. So the silver lining to that is there's not going to be any philosophical change from these pitchers to say, well, I'm going to go from pitching to contact now to trying to strike everybody out, because the organizational philosophy is to strike as many guys out to pitch away from contact anyways. So that would be the silver lining to that, if that is a silver lining. But that's a really good point, Norm. Hey, if the Dodgers truly are chips in, no one except the 5 highest paid players will have a long leash this season. Yeah, you got to have somewhat of a leash so people can get comfortable and they're not looking over their shoulder. That is kind of a fine line, I would say, but I would totally agree with you. Hey, you can't, again, I'm going to say it again, there's no reason to have trust in Gavin Lux at shortstop as a fan right now. I get it, but you have every reason in the world to trust the Dodgers organization to do what's right and to fix this. Trust them. Trust the process that they will get it fixed. That's where I'm at. Hey, Cole says Lux stunted growth at short when they put him at second. He needs time to get it back. I totally agree with that. Second base and shortstop are very much different positions. It's a different type of throw. I've said it many different times. He hasn't played it in 4 years consistently. He didn't play it all last year. There's going to be an adjustment period. I've said that a lot. Having said that, you guys hear me talk a lot about the process. Like, hey, you got to trust the process, not always about results. But like I said about Miguel Vargas the other day, then the very next day after that, he hits a double and a home run, and he looks great. I said, hey, his process just doesn't look right. He doesn't look comfortable. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look like he's swinging the bat with authority, this and that. And then the next day, he looked the exact opposite and looked great. The process for Gavin Lux looks off. You can just see it. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look comfortable. And why should he? Why should he have confidence? Why should he be comfortable? He's fielded 3 ground balls with a major league club in 4 years or at shortstop or consistently. Got 3 ground balls at least. And that was a wrong statement to make because he's played 60 some odd games at shortstop in his major league career. But in over 365 days, I should say that, he's fielded 3 to 4 ground balls. Why should he feel comfortable? Why should he feel confident? And so, yeah, it is. If Gavin Lux is going to be the shortstop, you're going to have to give him run. You're going to have to let him get comfortable. But I will say this, as much as I love the guy, he's also going to have to start showing signs that he's getting more comfortable. He's going to have to start showing signs that he is getting better, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right now, I love the guy. I hope you don't think I'm being too negative or throwing shade. I'll say that again. But he's not showing signs of that light at the end of the tunnel. That's the process part of it that worries me. Not going to lie about it. Got to come straight to you, Dodgers dogs. You are the best crowd out there, period. You leave the best comments. We have the greatest conversation. So I've got to be real with you guys, and that's where I am at. Yeah, Chris Fallborg says, I trust Andrew Friedman. You should. He fixes things. Just look at the bullpen last year. Roy Estrada, how about moving Alex Vesia and bring in Wilson? Vesia can go to AAA. Yes, that's why they kept Alex Vesia. You're 100% correct, Roy Estrada. But that doesn't get Justin Wilson on the 40-man. You're going to have to move somebody off of the 40-man to get Justin Wilson on it. So sending Alex Vesia to AAA, that removes him off the 26-man roster, but it keeps him on the 40-man. So at that point, all 40 spots are still taken. So how do you get Justin Wilson on that 40-man? if you're going to use Nick Frasso to get Daniel Hudson by moving Nick Frasso to the 60-day, at that point, you're full. If you don't move Walker Buehler to 60-day, which I don't necessarily anticipate the Dodgers to do, somebody has to get DFA'd at that point. So we'll see how that goes, and we will see. Let me turn on my lights here. I think I forgot to do that, and so we have a little bit of a glare. So, okay, yeah, so that's the problem with Justin Wilson at this point. Mr. Classic Andrew for sure has the Dodgers' best interest. Totally agree. Hey, Cole, wasn't manipulating the IL what got the guy from the Mets in trouble? Yeah, the Dodgers, there's nobody that's done that more than the Dodgers. I promise you that. And I know the LA Times has been on it. Jay, actually, one of our wonderful Dodgers dailies he just does great work with Dodgers Daily. I can't tell you how much Jay helps me. He actually got me onto this, how the Dodgers have actually used that. Nobody has manipulated the IL probably more than the Dodgers have to get that up train, down train going, to get what they need as far as pitchers onto the 26-man roster. So, yeah, they manipulate it quite a bit. But, yeah, that is what got – I think there were probably some other things with that Mets deal. I'm not totally familiar with it, but I do know the manipulation of the IL was part of it. Hey, yeah, player, thank you so much for joining. Let me remind everybody, if you haven't done so, hit that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends, share this video out to all your social medias, text your friends, tell them to come over. We're going to be, during the season, we're going to be Sunday, Wednesday, and probably Saturday mornings. For now, we're going to go Saturday morning, this Saturday morning. And so we're going to put the times out here in a little bit, what our schedules are going to be. We also have the Hot Take series. If you have a suggestion on a topic you'd like to see for the Hot Takes, we're going to put those out on Mondays. We have a new High Velo series that's coming out tomorrow on the top prospects and how they're doing. And then we also have a Launch Angle series, which is going to cover some of the less known prospects that we think you need to know about that are climbing and actually gaining traction in the system. So we're going to have those 3 series coming out. We're going to have at least 3 live shows a week. We're going to have our normal interviews with all the players and managers. And so I am super excited. And then we're also going to have a couple, maybe 2 to 3 of those daily shows like we did that aren't live, but we release them like early in the morning that you can go back and watch, like Coach Holt and I or Austin and I hop on and do. So super excited about the content that's coming out on Dodgers Daily, and I can't thank everybody out there for supporting this channel. You guys mean so much to me. Hey, after seeing Lux throw a few bouncers to first base, Rojas is suddenly looking more appealing. Yeah, that's coming from Yao Player. Hey, Justin Lamas, how come Tony G sucked at pitching to strikeouts and pitch to contact all the time, same as Bobby Miller? How come Tony G sucked at pitching to strikeouts and pitch to contact? Okay, so Tony Gonsolin is more of of course he has the splitter, but Tony Gonsolin is more of a movement type pitcher. His velo's about 93, 94. He's not going to throw the high riding 4-seam like Bobby Miller is and get above swings. And yes, he does have the splitter and he can strike guys out, but more so he's going to move the ball off of barrels. That's going to be what makes Tony Gonsolin successful. And a lot of times those types of pitchers don't play up quite as well in the postseason, which is why the Dodgers like the strikeout pitching to strikeout type of guys. Hey, Steve Patterson, thank you so much for joining. If you haven't done so, hit that like button. Great job again, Casey. Always enjoy checking in and having you drop so much knowledge. No other channel offers great insight on our Dodgers minor league prospects and baseball in general. Let's go. Steve Patterson, I can't tell you how much I thank you for saying that. We work really hard. We take this very seriously. We love the Dodgers. We love you guys. And when you take the time to come out and make a comment like that, we can't tell you how much that means to us. Thank you so much for that comment, Steve. That means the world. Normally, the team understands that fan expectations will be beyond high, so the paranoia and criticism will be equally high throughout the season. 100%. Elite comment, Norm. That's what Gavin Lux is going through right now. Matter of fact, I just mentioned that just a minute ago. He doesn't want to let the fans down. He knows what's on the line. He doesn't want to be the guy that's the weak link that keeps him from winning the World Series. He's feeling that pressure. You're seeing it with your own eyes. You are seeing a Major League Baseball player feel that pressure that normally just mentioned in the comments. Great comment, Norm. That is absolutely 100% correct, in my opinion. Craig Osterberg, how about having a different strategy for Lux? Bring him in around the 5th or 6th inning, maybe less pressure. It could be. I'll tell you this. When you're in a slump, you'll hear this all the time. And, of course, you'll work mechanics. But the one thing that you will constantly hear the hitting coaches say, you got to keep swinging. Just keep swinging. Just keep swinging the bat. Keep hitting the baseball. You've got to swing the bat. That's the only way to get out of a slump, right? So the only way Gavin Lux can get out of his own head is to have so many ground balls that he becomes so comfortable that he forgets about the last play he made. He's not worried about it's like that. I mentioned it earlier. It's that drive home where you're so comfortable and you're so used to driving home. You get home and you don't even remember how you got home because you're just such on autopilot. Until Gavin Lux can get into that comfort zone, from my mental perspective, he is going to continue to press. The only way to get him into that mental space is by getting him as many ground balls at the major league level. Major league level, my opinion, not minor league level, at the major league level as you can. That's why I said if you want Gavin Lux to be your shortstop, you got to quit putting Miguel Rojas out there, and you got to give Gavin Lux every single game, and hopefully he gets 6 balls hit to him every game, and you play him 15 games in a row, and let's say he gets 3 to 4 balls. Now he's got 45 or 50 plays. Now we're just starting to get into that mind frame in that headspace that I just mentioned a minute ago. But that's where I would go. This is just wonderful conversation. That is a great comment, Craig. Again, I get to read these great comments, and it is just absolutely so much fun because it's just the best crowd out there. Hey, Cole says Dodgers dodged a bullet not signing Giolito. Yeah, he is hurt, and yeah, he's not going to be able to pitch this year. One other thing that I wanted to get to, and we'll keep reading comments as we have them come up. What did you think about Yoshinobu Yamamoto? I'm going to shoot it straight with you. It was a performance that I felt like he struggled. Now, okay, results are results. He gave up 3 runs, but, I mean, they were infield hits. They were, the Max Muncy made an error. So it wasn't like, they were hitting home runs off of him. It wasn't like they were just hitting one line drive seed after the other. That's not the perspective I'm coming from. What Yamamoto has to be, in my opinion, is a guy that he's always been. See that pitch right there? Let me back that up. This is not characteristic of Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Watch this pitch. See how badly he pulls that pitch? This is my concern with him. And I brought this up on social media. Let me back that up. I'm going to push pause here so we can see that pitch. His pitches have an enormous amount of movement to it. Watch the movement on this pitch. See that? Now, as major leaguers that get all the best data you can possibly have and compile, they know tunnel points, okay? We talked about tunnel points earlier with Bobby Miller. See that tunnel point right there? So look at his eyes. Right here, he's just picked up spin. Well, no, actually, let me cut that over. This hitter right here has picked up spin plus location. At this point, now that he knows this, in fact, if you see the 2 lines, you know this is going to be shake, and that shake is going to create tumble. Spit on it. As soon, you saw that right there. As soon as he picked up right there, he's picked up location right here. Right now, he's gone not swinging at it. He was not going to offer at that pitch. So here is my concern. Not saying it's a big one. Don't overreact to what I'm saying, because I think Yamamoto, I haven't seen a whole lot of him, to be honest with you, but I'm going to trust the fact the Dodgers did their homework on this guy to sign him for 12 years. If there was a concern for Yamamoto, this would be it for me. As we watch him go on here, let's watch this next pitch as he throws it in here. See how he pulls that? I'm going to back that up one more time and show you this right here. I want to show you this hitter right there. See that hitter? He picked up spin. Now, right now, the ball's not even halfway to home plate. He already knows he's not going to swing. That was an easy take for that hitter. So my concern with Yoshinobu Yamamoto with the insane amount of movement that he gets on his pitches. Do his pitches consistently actually land in a strike zone that is measured by these umpires? Because if they don't, like Ryan Pepio had to deal with when he first came up to the major leagues, yeah, he had this changeup that would turn right like a left-handed slider, and it had 60 inches of induced vertical break or whatever it had on it, but nobody swung at it. So if Yoshinobu Yamamoto throws all these pitches with this crazy, insane movement, but then they profile his pitches that are going to break out of the zone, and all major league hitters have to do is pick up the tunneling point, then they're going to spit on those pitches. And then at that point, I wonder, what does Yoshinobu Yamamoto's in-zone stuff actually look like? Will he be able to miss barrels in zone? See how he spit on that pitch again? You see that middle location right there. See that middle location right here? You pick up spin, you pick up location, and because this is middle, you picked up changeup. One of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to tumble out of the zone or it's going to fade out of the zone. That's a pretty easy take for a major league hitter. The question for Yamamoto that I have is he going to be able to consistently get out major league hitters at an ace level, ace-type pitcher level, when he is forced to actually take all those pitches that have all that movement and put them in the zone? Because I promise you one thing, major league hitters will not chase the zone on this guy with all those crazy movements. So I just wonder, I guess I'm saying all this to say, does he rely on hitters having to chase the zone for him to be dominant? I don't know, actually. I don't know enough about him about that. You guys might actually know more about that than I do. That was one concern I wanted to bring up and maybe get some of your thoughts on that. Hey, John Quimby, thank you so much for joining. Can you spend some time talking about Dodgers coaching staff from minor league to major league team level? I'd like to know more about that part of the organization. Okay, so at the AAA level, you have Travis Barbery, and he just does a wonderful job. Travis Barbery has been in the system. Let me actually pull this up, and give me a clunky second here so I can get all this information up, because I want to give all these guys the credit, and I don't have them. They shuffled around a lot, and I don't have them exactly memorized, exactly where they're going to be this year. I do know that Dylan Nishotka, we'll get to him here in just a second. I do know that he is going to be with, I believe, Tulsa, which is a big promotion for him because he is with Single A Rancho. Okay, so at the AAA level, Travis Barbery. AA level, Scott Hennessy. Yair Fernandez is going to take over for Daniel Nava. John Shoemaker at Rancho Cucamonga. Juan Apodaca. By the way, Apo, he was the first base coach for the AA Tulsa Drillers last year. When Scott Hennessy got cancer, Oppo actually had to take over for that entire middle of the season until Hennessy could come back towards the end. Oppo did a wonderful job. So they gave him his own position at the complex. Excited about that. So Travis Barbery, your AAA manager, been with the Dodgers as a player, and then I believe he's like 51 or 52. He's been in the Dodgers organization every year he's been a professional. He is a lifetime Dodger. He is a guy that's very mild temper out of South Carolina. He likes to hunt, but then he'll get ejected 7 or 8 times a year because he is definitely known as a manager that absolutely has his players' backs. Then you have Jamie Wright in the system, Justin DeFreitas, your pitching coach, and then Manny Burris is your hitting coach. Manny Burris is a rock star, super positive. He's a guy that brings a lot of energy, and the guys love it. So you have at the AA level, your pitching coaches are Ryan Dennick, Durno Linger. I've actually talked to Durno Linger. If you want to know more about him, just go watch that interview I have with him. He is super descriptive, just an awesome young coach. And so him and Ryan Dennick, they've all worked together a lot in the past. They're going to do very well together. And then Dylan Nishotka moves up. I'm super excited about this. Dylan Nishotka is the one that caught me on to the big gulp. And the big gulp is he wants his hitters to be big gulp hitters. And what he means by that is if you're capable of hitting home runs, and I need to get back to where I was at here. If you're capable of hitting home runs and for average, don't just hit for average. Let's see if we can do it all. Don't be a 12 ounce. Try to be a big gulp. Let's see how close we can get to be a big gulp. So super excited about him. And then at the pitching coach level, at the high A Great Lakes level, for Yair Fernandez, you're going to have Dave Anderson as pitching coach, and then you're going to have his hitting coach, Big Okoye, Big O. Big O, I got to see him a lot in AAA Oklahoma City when he was a player. Awesome dude, can absolutely drop bombs. And then John Shoemaker at the single A level, most absolutely perfect for that level, most professional manager you'll ever meet. And then his pitching coach, Sean Coyne. And then Ramon Troncoso. They call him Tronky. Tronky actually pitched in the big leagues. He was a pitcher in the Dodgers organization. I got to see him come in relief of a 15-inning game that Corey Seager played in. And then Sean Coyne, if you want to know about him, I have an interview with him. And then, and then your hitting coach, I'm drawing a blank on the hitting coach for Rancho Cucamonga at the moment. It was Dylan Ashotka last year, and then Brett Pill was in the organization as well. So there's your managers, there's your coaches, and so I hope that was good enough for you there, John. Thank you for that question. That was just simply a lot of fun to talk about. Hey, John Fauborg, Lux just needs reps, a lot of them. That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, Chris Fauborg, I heard that Monty unfollowed the Rangers and started following the Dodgers. Yeah. Craig Osterberg, can you travel with the club if you're on the 60-day IL, like Kershaw to Korea? I actually don't know. I'll find that out, Craig. After you leave your comment like I did last time, I will put that in the comment to let you know. Hey, yeah, player, that's pretty interesting. Monty's still following a break. Yeah. Okay, Justin Lama, same. Let's see. All right, Cole. I'm not worried about Yamamoto. Spring training is where you want these things to happen. Trust the process. Couldn't agree more. So, hey, that is all I wanted to get to today. That's all I have for you. I will hang out for a minute or two longer. But other than that, that's it. Hey, the Dodgers, they play the bad guys tonight, right? Here in just a little bit. Are you guys excited to watch the Dodgers play the bad guys tonight? How excited are you about that? This has been just a tremendous conversation tonight. This has been another tremendous Dodgers Dogs show as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, and it's all because of you. So until probably tomorrow night, definitely Saturday morning, make sure and check Saturday morning. We're going to start a Saturday morning live show. That's going to be a thing. That's going to be permanent. We don't know about Friday nights because Friday nights would be more like of a pregame. We don't know if rivaling the station's pregame would be a good idea. So we're probably going to move that Friday night show to Saturday morning. Hey, Chris Fauborg says, I'd rather leave Kirsch at Camelback to rehab. Yep. Got to have faith in Yamamoto. He's going to be with us for 12 years. Yeah, Gregory, thank you, too, for joining in. So until then, just stay tuned. Turn on those notifications. So when we go live next, definitely Saturday morning, maybe tomorrow night, you'll know when we do. So thank you again for tuning in, and go Dodgers.